I sense he can barely believe this, because I can't. What on earth do they think they're doing here?
At the Metropolitan Police, in the corridors of power, where all those highly educated senior officers sit, they worry about perception. They're not overly concerned about policing, but they're worried about perception. How will this look in the papers? And these are the kind of conversations that senior plod has. Well, what an own goal they've scored today. Because how does this look, not only in the papers, but on this channel and in many other places as well? In order to add some balance, I should say that the Counter-terrorism Police of the Metropolitan, of the Met and others, do a sterling job in preventing and thwarting terrorist plots. And for that, I give them huge thanks and enormous credit. However, their so-called imposed by treaty obligations or responsibilities to investigate war crimes does not mean that at some expense you print off a load of posters, stick them up around airports and basically tout for work, when there are, of course, millions of unsolved crimes throughout the Met which they could possibly be getting on with.
Now, I didn't know until this story emerged that there was a war crimes unit, but it strikes me that that would make sense because the ICC, the International Criminal Court, who, you know, in many respects, if they did their job properly and more dodgy tyrants were put in the dock and then, you know, made to pay for their horrific crimes, would probably be a good thing. But any court needs police to bring them the evidence. And, you know, I don't think international criminals stay in one place and necessarily have honest police services in their own countries who are going to, you know, pick them apart and then serve them on a platter in The Hague. So, you know, possibly this is a good thing.
This cuts across a greater malaise within the Metropolitan Police at all ranks. They will set themselves up what in policing terms you call an empire. They will build themselves an empire in policing, which means that they sit safely behind a desk and investigate anything other than the crime that bothers the moderate majority of us, like having your phone, your bike and your car nicked, like having your house burgled, your shop repeatedly targeted by shoplifters, and, of course, fraud. So many police officers of various ranks will do anything to get away from the rough and tumble of proactive frontline policing.
They should send you to Gaza to intimidate people. I think you'd be pretty good at getting information.
Look, this is exactly my first thought, Peter. You know, if they must do this sort of thing, I don't know why they would. As you say, they're being very badly advised in terms of the media, because this doesn't make them look good. It makes them look absurd. But if they must do this, you know, my first thought was, you know, imagine what everyone who's just had their house broken into yesterday or their car nicked, and they go, oh, that's good. The police are putting a lot of effort into looking for war crimes in Gaza. And by the way, what kind of jurisdiction do they have about this? I mean, what are they going to do? Go over to Gaza and arrest people? And why don't they talk about Palestinian war crimes?
And by the way, to those poor victims of crime, here's your crime reference number. Yeah. Oh, and can you solve it for us, by the way? Do you know who did it? And so on and so forth. Another point I feel compelled to mention here. Let's just remember that Sir Mark Rowley, Commissioner of the Metropolitan Police, took 4 or 5 years out of policing before he came back. And what was his job previously, for which he got his knighthood? Yeah. He was the national head of counter-terrorism policing. This will have been run past him. This is the Commissioner. This is ultimately his responsibility. This is an own goal. This is sadly misplaced. And, of course, it brings about all the kinds of questions that you and many others are asking.